Hello guys, it is Cuteness Nuttips here, and today I'm going to be doing a Pokemon video. So I haven't done these in a while, so I thought I'd do one because I need something to bridge the gap between this and when I get my new phone. And I hope you enjoy the story spin music. But this video is going to be based on starters. Now I know I've done a starter tier list before, and yeah, the footage is from Pokemon Go, as you can see. But I wanted to do something else regarding starters, because, I don't know, I just got this idea one day. So, starters are arguably one of the most important parts of a Pokemon journey. They completely... It's gonna happen a lot. In fact, they completely dictate... Turn game sound off. They may completely dictate your journey, depending on how good they are or how much you like them. In fact, they might influence your opinion on a generation. So, then it got me thinking about starter trios. What is my favorite and least favorite starter trio? It's something I've always, debated within myself. So I came up with a mathematical formula to dictate my favorite and least favorite starter trios. And by mathematical, I mean rating all individual 9 starters in each gen, evolutions included, obviously, from 1 through 10, add their scores up, and then average them. Why? So I can rate them out of 10 instead of out of 90, because I feel like that sounds better. And also because 10 is a very versatile number. It'll also make the scores closer. So, anyway, that's basically all the intro stuff. Without further ado, let's just get started. So first, we have the Bulbasaur line. Now, we have Bulbasaur, Ivysaur, and Venusaur. And I'm gonna give these 3 an 8. Now, I feel like some of you guys will be a bit more confused when it comes to rankings, but basically, 1 through 10. 1 is reserved for my least favorite starter, enjoy the free plug. 10 is reserved for my favorite starter. 2 means I really, really dislike them, I really hate them. 9 means I really love them. 3 and 8 are basically also, counterparts of each other. I sort of dislike. 4 and 6 are, I feel neutral towards the Pokemon, but in 4's case, I have slight negative feelings towards them, or slight positive feelings towards them. And 5 is obviously just complete neutrality. I don't feel anything towards them. Now, these 3 are 8s simply because I just like their designs a lot. I enjoy their Megas and their G-Max forms as well, somewhat. Though I wish Venusaur's G-Max form wasn't just a flower, but watching someone I'm really, close to use it in competitive has definitely boosted my opinion of it. I'm giving them all 8s because I feel like they're my favorites. I think they're definitely the underrated starter. Although, I don't know. I don't know the opinions of Gen 1. They're so sporadic these days. So, yeah. Next up, we have the Charmander line, and I actually don't like these guys much. It has nothing to do with, them being too popular or anything. I just don't, because of multiple things. One was me trying to horribly play Charizard in Smash 4. It did not go well, and I grew to dislike Charizard as a result. Although, it does hold its own in Ultimate, so that definitely makes me feel better about the Pokemon. Number 2 is when I was grinding for Battle Royale points in the Battle Royale, obviously. Obviously, the sets are completely random, and as a result, I encountered a lot of Megazard X's from AIs, and they were really annoying to deal with. Really annoying. It's kind of like, I feel like some people dislike Talonflame or Landorus or even Ferrothorn. In fact, I dislike those Pokemon. Not Talonflame, the last two. Simply because they were used a lot. I know 2013 and 2014 VGC definitely has left a sour taste in someone's mouth about Talonflame. I don't like Ferrothorn or Landorus when it was used against me commonly in Showdown either, so I can understand not liking that one. It was just not a fun experience. Which is unfortunate, because I really like reptilian Pokemon. It's just, it didn't hold up. Now, the anime didn't really move me that much, because one, it felt a bit too cliche, and two, I just wasn't that moved by it. Abandonment stories are something that always happens in the anime, and I feel like Gen 5, it was much more moving, especially considering Tepig wasn't left outside for, like, a day or two, for literally half a day. It was literally left outside for multiple months, or multiple weeks, just barely living off of anything, if it's not tied shut. Also, the episode where Ash finally rekindles with Charizard is I don't, it was too predictable, and I feel like it didn't move me that much, unfortunately. Charizard does have a great shiny, and I have had good moments with it, such as my shiny Charizard in Let's Go, that I really enjoy flying on. It's a case of, I like that Charizard much more than other Charizard. Also, the fan service, while it doesn't bother me too much, does not help. There are multiple cases where Charizard has gotten special treatment, such as being included early into Sword and Shield, getting a second Mega that's literally nothing but fan service. It's color of it's shiny, blue fire, spikes, it's a dragon type, it screams fan service. Let's be honest. I prefer the Y design, not even just because of the fan service, but because it suits the Pokemon better in general. I don't know how to feel about the Gmax. I think the undersection is a little too big, and I still don't know if it's competitively viable or not, because I've heard opposite viewpoints when discussing Gmax Charizard, that Gmax is better. I don't know anymore, honestly. In the end, I decided that I was going to give Charmander and Charmeleon 4s, and Charizard a 3. Charmander is at least somewhat cute, but it's still just brought down by its evolutions. And Charmeleon, half the time I forget it exists, so fortunately for it, and I think it's the only middle evolution on this list that actually benefits from me forgetting that it exists. Because it's one of the few cases where I only dislike the final evolution in the line, for the most part, at least. Next we have Squirtle. The Squirtle line is just cute. Also, I love that I have a female Wartortle, but a male Squirtle. It's amazing. And the only problem, I'd say, I've used Squirtle multiple times, more times than Bulbasaur even. So you'd think I bond with it more, but I just haven't. My only problem that I personally have with Blastoise is it's just a blue turtle with cannons. It's a pretty simplistic design. It's another problem I have with Charizard, sort of. It's just an orange dragon. Yes, simplicity can win sometimes, but compared to some of the other starters, Blastoise is a little lackluster. Then again, my favorite Pokemon is a purple axolotl when it's shiny, but I don't know. That doesn't mean, it's not to discount it much, I just don't like it as much as the Bulbasaur line. I think the Bulbasaur line is just better. Also, yeah, it doesn't really change much, it just gets larger. But I guess that's how evolution works. Although I do enjoy Wartortle's bushy squirrel-like tail. That is adorable. But otherwise, there isn't really much. Also, trying to find Blastoise art where Blastoise's shell is facing you is really annoying. But it's not too much of a difficulty. Anyway, I decided to give Squirtle and Blastoise 7s, and Wartortle a 6, because I forget it exists. In total, the final scores add up to 55, and divided by 9, you get 6.1. Kanto, not really starting strong, is it? Yeah, I think Charmander just brings it down, and there isn't really anything to counter it, so as a result, this happens. Next up, we have Generation 2, and as for the Generation 2 starters, the common opinion that I see is people tend to like Cyndaquil and Totodile more. As for Chikorita, not so much, which is unfortunate, but, you know. Also, I am flexing my shiny Chikorita. It's not fully evolved yet, though, so it's not much of a flex. Anyway, speaking of which, let's start with Chikorita. Chikorita is my favorite Johto starter. By far. In fact, I love this line so much that I've decided to give them all 9s. Now, the story behind this one is actually pretty simple. The main reason I like Chikorita so much is because I felt bad for it, and that, like, nobody liked it. So, when I wanted to play through Crystal, because I never played through Crystal before, I said, you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna solo run the game with just a Meganium. And that went so much better than I expected. I don't know why people think Meganium is bad in a playthrough, but I get never used to it in a regular playthrough setting. It's always been over-leveled, to be completely fair. But it actually did really well. I mean, obviously it was over-leveled, so that definitely contributed. But I only encountered 2 roadblocks. Bugsy and Red. And Red is just a given, and even then I was able to brute force my way through Red without even grinding. Bugsy, I just needed RNG to be on my side. Both roadblocks I didn't have to counter by grinding, I just had to brute force my way through it. Hell, I one-shot Whitney, I dealt with Morty with ease. Faulkner wasn't much of a challenge either. No one was actually that hard. And I feel like, obviously, Meganium gets a lot of hate because it was quote-unquote not good in a playthrough. First of all, it's a defensive Pokemon. Second of all, it can actually hold its own. With the proper moveset, it can do really well. Solar Beam, Earthquake, Body Slam, and Sunny Day was mine. I think it does pretty well. Earthquake covers 2 of its weaknesses, as well as Steel, which is the one type that Grass and Normal are both don't do much against. Body Slam covers for most of the types that resist Grass, and Solar Beam is just a powerful move, and enjoy the free plug. I think and Sunny Day is obviously for setting up Solar Beam. It's a small detriment because it boosts the fire typing, but you know what? It's not something that I feel like personally is that bad overall. As for its design, I really do like the flower. I like that the leaves gradually become a flower, and I think that's a really nice design. I mean, maybe it's just because the trainers were bad, but I felt like Meganium did pretty well. Much better than I expected it was going to do anyway. So much that I'm choosing to give this entire line 9s. Not to mention, it was a really lovable character in the anime. I loved how it had a crush on Ash. I found that really cute and adorable. Anyway, but then the mighty truly fall when we get to Cyndaquil. I don't dislike the evolutions. I don't want to give that vibe off. Also, for some reason, the Cyndaquil and Quilava sprites aren't loading. But, it's just... when I did the Meganium run, it came with some major drawbacks. I don't like these 2 nearly as much because of that. Chikorita sapped my love out of both of the other starters. So, yeah. Sorry. But, try harder next time. As for these guys, I'm going to give Cyndaquil a 6, because I think it's a pretty decent starter. Quilava's going to get a 5, mostly because I kind of forget it exists, so I feel neutral towards it. Typhlosion is going to get a 7. I'm going to be completely honest. I never felt that bad about the fire issue, even though a lot of people did. It's just never something that affected me. Plus, I like to appreciate Pokemon more for their cuteness than their coolness, so it does kind of make Typhlosion look a little cuter when it doesn't look like it's going to burn me alive, but... But it's, I don't know, it's still cute regardless. I think it's a fine Pokemon, even without the flames. The flames are just a secondary thing. And I don't know why the Cyndaquil and Lava sprites aren't loading on the evolution chart, but whatever. Why am I giving it a 7? Probably because I just had more time with it. Oh god, the music. I just had more time with it, so yeah. That's mainly why. Next, we have the Totodile line, and I decided to give these guys just straight 6s, because honestly, I don't feel differently about any of them, if you'd ask me. Also, I have a female Fraligator, apparently. Totodile is cute, and it gets its job done. Croconaw. I like the caveman and the way the caveman design it has, and it does look cute. As for Fraligator, it's intimidating enough, although we all know its Gen 3 sprite certainly ruined the lives of a lot of people, innocently looking up Fraligator on the internet as a child. Oh god, what a time to be. The furries are taking over the internet. Also, I think the spikes are cool. But overall, when I used it in Soul Silver, I actually didn't feel too much towards it. But I somewhat liked it. So much that I'm still gonna give them all 6s. So, that's Gen 2. And when you add them all up, you get 63, which divides by 9 to get 7. Now, unfortunately for Johto, Meganium's strength was also its downfall. But I think Meganium did a good job pulling the team's weight. And it's significantly higher than Kanto, so that's a plus. Yeah. Moving on to Hoenn. So next up we have Hoenn. Hoenn is, as far as I'm aware, a bit of a mixed bag when it comes to favorite starters. I know a lot of people seem to really like Trico because, well, Ashes, and it just looks nice, and also because they like geckos. And people seem to like Blaziken because it looks really cool and it's nice to use in competitive, and they really like the Mega. I don't... But, and people seem to like Mudkip less, but I don't know. I'll just... So, first, we're going to start with Trico, who I decided to give the entire line 8s. I feel like I like all of them pretty much equally. I think Grovyle is a good middle stage. It's the most solid middle stage we've had, other than Bayleaf and Ivysaur. I lied. I'm sorry, guys. The best middle stage is that. It's one that I significantly remember, mostly because Ash had there was a very long period where Ash had a Grovyle. And that's probably actually why. And also because Sawyer had one, so, yeah. And Trico is somewhat intimidating, and also cute. And I did enjoy his personality in the anime, and Sceptile is just a cool mon in general. I said I like reptilian creatures. Sceptile isn't really an exception. I like the tree for a tail. I like that it has seeds on its back. I like that it's literally based on a tree. I also thoroughly enjoyed its small mini arc, wherein it couldn't use moves in the anime. And obviously, finishing off Darkrai was very, very important, and was a very fun little thing. Especially since, technically, if Ash was able to defeat that Darkrai, it means if he hadn't gotten unlucky, he would have gotten second place. Because there was no way because I don't think the trainer that he fought in the finals actually defeated the Darkrai. so Ash was stronger than them. Yeah. I don't know why I'm talking about this. Now, have I used a Sceptile? Sort of. I used one in an Alpha Sapphire playthrough, but I'm gonna be completely honest when I say I barely remember that. I don't remember that at all. I do remember that it did help me defeat Steven, and it was the one who took down the Metagross with the Leaf Storm. But that's really it. I do, however, remember using a Sceptile in Generation 7 competitive. I don't know how that worked out because it's RU, apparently, according to Showdown, but Showdown lied. It did really well. It's just a good Pokemon overall, and I really like it, and the anime has certainly helped me get closer to it overall. And, yeah, next we have Torchic. Oh, Torchic. I know Torchic is a lot of people's favorite Hoenn starter, but, yeah, they didn't get very high ratings with me. First of all, before we talk about Torchic and its somewhat low rating, even though it is kind of cute, we need to talk about this. Why? You knew what you were doing, Game Freak. Why does it look like, you know, that? And you, why do you have feathers there? Am I looking into this too deeply? Apparently, I'm not, because a random parent who was watching their kid play Pokemon Tournament noticed this one piece of feathers, this clump of feathers over there, and went, "Excuse me, what is that doing there?" So, I don't know. But I can't unsee it. But it's not as bad as Combuskin, luckily. But Combuskin kind of drags the line down a bit. And honestly, I never really cared for Blaziken much as a Pokemon either. It was a bit overused, I feel like, with Speed Boost and everything, number one. And number two, I don't like that it got a Mega before the other Hoenn starters did in X and Y. Number three, it doesn't look enough like a bird to me. Like, it kind of just abandons its bird roots. Maybe it's just because it's something I'm not noticing that chickens possess, that Blaziken also possesses. But I feel like they kind of abandoned the bird design. It's literally only in the talons, and that's in its arms. They just abandoned it completely, and I really like it when Pokemon, like, stay consistent when it comes to their inspiration. Which is kind of ironic, because I just said I didn't like what's really barely changed, but it has to be that balance between changing, but not so much that you kind of lose your roots. It especially doesn't make sense that this thing somehow learns Brave Bird, but I don't know, maybe I'm just looking too far into it. Torchic is cute, but its evolutions are a bit disappointing, and it's not cute enough to match against the best Hoenn starter, and as a result, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to give Torchic a 4. Combuskin, I'm giving you a 3, because you look hideous, and I still don't know why they thought that was a good idea. As for Blaziken, I'm gonna be gracious and give it a 4. Next up, we have the Mudkip line. I don't really think I need to get into detail with this one. I'm just gonna give them all 10s, because it's my favorite. It's literally the mascot and my favorite Pokemon. I mean, look at that gesture. That was adorable. That was also adorable. Its evolutions, I feel like, even if they are really kind of derpy, are still somewhat intimidating. And Swampert has really nice muscles. Especially in this Mega. I just wish Brock's evolved further than a Marshtomp. But I understand why they didn't, because Morrison had a Swampert still. Although, I will say, the one episode of Marshtomp fell in love with Floppy was adorable. But yeah, they all get 10s. Adding all the scores up, you get 65, which divides to 7.2. This definitely could have gone better if I preferred Blaziken, but it did do better than Johto, which is definitely, you know, a somewhat accomplishment, which is important. Is it a candidate to be my favorite starter trio? Possibly. Maybe. No. I don't know. It's definitely possible, but I feel like I'm gonna have to get really, really lucky with it. or Hoen's gonna have to get really lucky with it if I'm to somehow win this. If Hoenn is to somehow win this. But it containing my favorite Pokemon and 3 tens definitely does give it an advantage. Anyway, after that, moving on to Sinnoh. So I've made the decision that this video is way too long, and I'm actually going to split this video into 2 parts. So Sinnoh will be the last portion of this video. But there will be a part 2 coming out, which will cover the remaining 4, and possibly a part 3 that contains the analysis, but I'll try to squeeze the analysis in with, you know, the part 2. Especially since there won't really be much of an intro. So, first off, we're starting with Torchic, and I'm gonna say it straight up, but, I feel meh about Torchic. I think I'm gonna give them all 7s. I just haven't experienced too much with them, unfortunately. I do really like their designs. I like the Torterras based off of the turtle myth that the turtle holds up the world. It still gives me nightmares in Detective Pikachu, though. Also, I do like that ecosystems actually grow on its back. I think Torchic's cute. I think Grottle's a passable middle evolution. It's not really ugly looking. It actually looks quite nice, if being completely honest. And as for Torterra, it looks pretty cool and intimidating. Unfortunately, I did use a Turtwig in Pearl, but it just wasn't that much, unfortunately. Not because I just wasn't into using it, but I think it's actually partially because I just wasn't too much into Gen 4 itself, but that's a whole other story. Also, the fact that it's a grass type and only learns Razor Leaf is definitely a little disappointing, unfortunately for it. As for the anime, Paul's wasn't much, and Ash's was alright. It definitely had its moments. As a Turtwig, it was cute. When it evolved, it sort of lost its power, and I liked that it had to go through that arc. And I especially enjoyed when it learned Rock Climb to save that Snover. That was a touching episode. As for, and like I said, it did have its moments. One of these moments is actually when Ash's Grotto fought Palmer and it ate the energy ball, and that happened. And when the fans in the anime started cheering for Grotto, I found myself doing the same. I guess I was just that invested in that fight. But overall, after it evolved into Torterra, I just didn't feel much for it. It was a very Pokemon overall. But it's not so much that it's a 6. I think it's a 7. Next up, we have Chimchar. And, yeah, it's not going too well. Okay, let me explain myself. Chimchar, I don't like as much. I mean, I do like as much as Turtwig. Its evolutions are where I feel like it kinda falls a bit flat. Now, why don't I like them as much? It's nothing really, like, design-wise. I think I just wasn't into them as much as I was because of Chimchar's cuteness. The main reason, I originally was actually going to give them both 7s, but then at some point I realized, no, I like Torterra a significant amount more than Infernape. And I don't think I like Torterra enough to boost it to an 8, but I definitely I don't like Infernape as much, so that I'm comfortable with dropping it to a 6. So, here we are. But I kept Chimchar at 7 because I personally felt that it was just, it's cute enough that I feel like it's on par with Turtwig. Sorry. My chest is a bit pained right now. Yeah. Now, you may be referencing the anime. Now, I have nothing against it in the anime, but I do have one issue with it, simply that it just, I feel like it didn't do as well as Turtwig's arc, not Turtwig, Tepig's arc for me. Now, Tepig's arc was like 2 episodes, to be honest, but I enjoyed the episode where Tepig met its old trainer again more than the Chimchar arc overall. For one main reason. None of the other Pokemon seem to get involved in the Chimchar arc. Whereas with Tepig, Snivy was the one encouraging it, and Snivy was the one giving it strength to battle and stuff. In fact, arguably, it developed Snivy as much as it did Tepig, and that's something I really liked about the specific episode. In fact, it's one of the few episodes where we see Snivy smile. And it was Snivy's encouragement that allowed Tepig to evolve in the first place. And I think it was just done significantly better. And I know that it was touching to a lot of people, but I feel like it was an overdone thing at that point, and the Tepig arc already did it better. So I personally felt like it just wasn't much, unfortunately. Not to fault the people who do like the Chimchar arc, it's a great arc. It's just, I felt like Tepig did it better. I'm sorry. And yes, the Infernape versus Electivire fight was nice. Somewhat. Not much, though. It was a fun fight, but I feel like it's the same as most rival fights. It was the same as Charizard versus Blastoise. It was the same as whatever the final showdown is when Ash fought Morrison. It was the same as Ash Greninja versus Sceptile. I watched all 3 of those first, by the way. I finished Sinnoh last. Anyway, now we get to Piplup, and this is where it all tumbles into a disaster. Alright, Piplup. Piplup is really cute. I like it. It was fun in the anime. I loved how it kept getting Draco Meteor. That's the most memorable thing about Piplup's character arc. I know, however sadistic that may sound. But I'm only giving it a 6, because unfortunately, for me, its evolutions really bring it down. And you're about to see how I feel about that in a bit. Let's take a moment to focus on those things. 4 marshmallow nips. Now I know what you're thinking. Piplup also has marshmallow nips. It doesn't have 4 of them though. Also, it's hidden by its cuteness. This thing just looks borderline ugly. I feel like the crest is just really weird looking, and it separates its eyes in an odd way. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. It's just awkward looking in general, and It has nips. It has actual nips. It's just, it could have been done so much better, man. Also, its name certainly isn't doing it any favors at all. Like, spot the difference. It's an R and an N. That is the difference. I don't know whose lazy idea that was, but that was... You guys call Game Freak lazy for not including the National Dex in. What about the time they took a Pokemon's name and literally added 2 letters and called it a new Pokemon name? We're just not going to call that one out at all? Nah, we're just going to cheat. Now, and then there's Empoleon. He's just bad. The trident makes the space between its eyes look very skinny, almost like those things horses wear to keep their vision straight forward. You know, those things. It feels like it would limit its peripheral vision, and it would be forced to look straight forward. The tie is really awkward, especially on a Pokemon that doesn't have a neck. Did they not consider that? The suit, it honestly looks more like a maid gown than a suit, and, I mean, I'm not going to say females can't wear suits, but they commonly don't, as portrayed in media, and Pokemon is a form of media, but I don't even have that much of a problem with that. It's also just really, I mean, I guess it being fat would make sense, considering it's an emperor. But, just, why? Not to mention, it's unbelievably fat, and I never noticed how fat this thing is. And the claws on its wings, I don't even know why those are there. They look really awkward. The Pokemon would be better without them. Do penguins even have claws? I genuinely don't know. Also, it's a water steel type. Now, a lot of people find that type really good. Here's the problem I have with it. It doesn't resist fire. I need my water starter to resist fire, most of all. And it can't even do that. Also, it's weak to the other two, which isn't doing it any favors at all. Sinnoh is just a disaster of imbalances, which I don't like the trio as well. It just lowers their score even more. Empoleon is ugly. It is my least favorite fully evolved starter, so much that I'm just gonna give both it and Prinplup 2s, and we're gonna move on from this abomination. Alright, so when you add up all the Pokemon in Sinnoh, you get 50, which divided by 9 is about 5.6. So, it's not looking too hot, is it? Unfortunately. Sorry, but try harder. Try harder. Alright, so that's going to be it for part 1. In part 2, we're going to go over the Unova starters, and we're going to go over the Kalos, Alola, and Galar starters, and analyze my opinions overall. So, yeah. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video, and bye.